First up, we're going to be hearing from Adam Taylor, an incredible presenter occupying the role of privacy lead for Google in EMEA, who will be speaking to us today about the opportunity of responsible marketing and how that represents an opportunity for growth in the industry, covering everything from consumer trust to privacy-preserving technology. Please join me with a round of applause to welcome Adam to the stage.
Again, I didn't choose that song, but I definitely would have done if I had the choice. So thank you very much for inviting me. I will skip on. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. It's great to see so many of you here today. And as the first Googler to speak with you, welcome to our home in King's Cross. Some of you may have actually seen on your way in that tomorrow's world for Google in King's Cross is actually just across the street with our new office, the Land Scraper, recently topping out, which I'm told is a construction term for putting the roof on. Is it going to end the shortage of meeting rooms? Not sure. Will it topple the views from the 11th floor of this very building? Again, not sure. But most importantly, I'm hearing there may be a slide to help us move between floors. So that's the one thing that we really look for. So as was just said, I'm Adam Taylor, and I'm the privacy lead for Google Marketing Platform, specifically here in the UK. I've been at Google for a little over 6 years, and I've dedicated half of that time to the topic of privacy. I support our sellers, our partners and agencies, and our customers understand the nuances of running a digital advertising operation in a changing regulatory and technical environment. And when I was asked to contribute to the event today, I really like the focus and the tone of looking ahead of what's to come. Privacy is often a tough topic, and appreciate being the first on the agenda. You might not want to be listening to a topic about privacy, but hopefully I can give you a little bit of information about how we see this as being a real opportunity for growth despite those changes afoot. Now, a caveat, I'm in no way going to try and predict future trends in regulation or give you a definitive date for the launch of the Privacy Sandbox, because I value my job. Instead, I'm going to try and talk you through some of the insights that we see from consumers today that we really think are going to build for the businesses of tomorrow. So we see it as a big opportunity at Google, but also as a collective industry-wide challenge that we really need to make sure that we're collecting, using, and respecting user data in better ways than we ever have done before. We know that consumers will continue to search for helpful experiences online, and that will only intensify as the years go on. They love things that help save them time, like Google Maps, that present them local, accurate information, or that alert them to new and exciting products or services that they're yet to try through advertising. And we see today that businesses that deliver well on these experiences typically get ahead of their competitors. But underpinning all of these experiences is customer data and user data. But by default, consumers are becoming more and more distrustful. Last year, worldwide on Google Search, we saw that searches for online privacy grew by almost 50% year on year. And as people manage more of their lives online, their concerns over how their personal data is gathered, used, and shared have only increased. People want those great online experiences that we just showed, but they want it delivered with the privacy they deserve by brands that they can trust. For advertisers, that presents a really clear opportunity, but also a responsibility. So this year, we asked 20,000 Europeans about the consequences of good and bad privacy experiences. It's part of our most recent research with Ipsos and was released yesterday as a part of the Demexco conference. Our Vice President of EMEA, Matt Britton, may have had slightly longer to mull over the slides than perhaps I have had, but the report is a really interesting read. I'd encourage you to read the follow-up and to go through. There's over 50 pages understanding the nuances of privacy experiences that users have in different countries, and it really unearths some interesting insights. I've tried to pull that down into 4 key findings for the purpose of today, and they start as the following. So number 1, the impact of poor privacy experiences on a consumer's willingness to trust a brand with their personal data appears to be nearly as severe as a data breach. Now, we know in our world and in the world of online advertising that data breaches and concerns around that really do create barriers with consumer trust. But if you think about that from the very start, when your consumer comes to your web properties, to your app, those experiences all matter. It's important to make those positive experiences because we see how that really impacts the way that people feel. The second, despite perhaps not being the best constructed sentence that's ever been written, providing a positive privacy experience where people feel in control of their data actually increases the brand preference over a competing brand by 43%. So what that's really telling us is that if you get this right and people feel in control, they are less likely to navigate to your consumers. It's a really important part of competitive advantage. And third, for brands already with good privacy practices, if they added in a monetary incentive to collect more data from a user, it actually didn't do anything to further improve brand preference, and in fact negatively impacted consumer trust in sharing their personal data. They don't like tying personal data with monetary reward. It changes the perception of users. So again, a really interesting point here. And finally, there are clear actions that advertisers can take to increase consumers' feeling of control, and these benefits are additive. It doesn't start and end with a consent management platform on a website. It doesn't start and end with one implication or one communication with a consumer. It's consistent. It has to be something that's baked into the way that we think about everyday business. And if you combine these actions, you can see that net increase of feeling of control going up by over 40%. So I think what's really clear in that is that there are themes. Themes of transparency, themes of choice, and themes of control. And that responsibility falls on all of us to gain the trust of users. They want more transparency, they want more choice, and they want more control to know that their data is secure. And if they can deliver on this as a business, or if you can deliver on this as a business, you can earn valuable trust. And this shouldn't be seen as a burden or an overhead. If anything, it's table stakes now for being successful moving forward. As an industry, it really is time for us to grasp that moment and moving beyond being helpful and easy to use and actually moving on to being responsible and respectful. And for many businesses, many of you potentially in this room, that is going to require quite significant top-down focus. And I may be preaching to some of the converted in this room, but often in conversations that we have with C-levels, this topic often isn't given a priority. So it's on all of us to really make sure that that bubbles to the top. A natural instinct is probably to do the bare minimum to apply to regulations or plug gaps to continue working the way that you used to. But that's really not going to play out in the long term. And if we take it back to a really similar paradigm that our industry faced previously, it makes me think about the advent of the smartphone, the last major disruption that we faced as an industry. Now, many businesses, maybe some of you in this room at the time, actually saw that as a threat to the way that your desktop practices would be applied. And you tried to migrate those desktop strategies to a smaller screen. We all have had those terrible experiences of loading up the mobile web when we first started and really not getting the most of what was now in our pocket. The winners in that disruption embraced it as a new way to connect with users and had well-structured test and learn strategies to really learn from what works and what didn't. And this is a similar shift to what we're going to experience with privacy. So those that really think about it and those that plan for it really can get ahead. This is the extent of my slide design for tomorrow's world. So what do these opportunities look like in tomorrow's world? And again, I'm going to not prophesize over the future of regulation or what we're likely to see come down the track from our friends in different regulatory bodies. But we have a slight problem with that screen down there, technical guys, but I will carry on. We're going to think about the Ipsos research here and think about the key themes that came out of that to think about how businesses will get ahead. And Ipsos defined making it meaningful, making it manageable, and making it memorable as being a really important way that businesses can interact. And on making it meaningful, people will voluntarily share their data with companies that demonstrate value proposition clearly. And marketers can clearly communicate the value of an exchange and anticipate customers' needs moving forward. On making it memorable, people in general have a very limited understanding of online privacy. I know that from many an awkward dinner party conversation. But more and more, they also have difficulty understanding online advertising, and they become inherently distrustful of that. But when they make choices about their data, they remember it. So it becomes a really important part of the way that you interact with people. And on making it manageable. When people feel they lack control, as we saw from some of those data points earlier, they really become skeptical of advertising and digital business as a whole. So we really should think about tools and techniques that we can use to really engage people to help them manage their privacy choices. Now, this is still also something that we have to contend with here at Google in the way that we work with our users too. And our ambition is to deliver experiences that are secure by default, private by design, and keep users in control. And one example of this, and one that's due to launch very soon, is the advent of the newly launched My Ad Center. It's the first time we've offered granular control and visibility into the advertising that you're receiving across Google's owned and operated media platforms. Users can fine-tune the ads that they see and what information is being used to power them. For the first time, users will be able to tell us what they want and also what they don't want when it comes to advertising. So through My Ad Center, we're really hoping to create a product that almost treats ads as a personalized content service, something that we feel really strongly about. And we're leaning in there to those policies and those concepts of transparency, of choice, of control. And we really think that this is going to be a really good increase for users and also longer term for advertisers as well. And from a digital marketing perspective, naturally many of you in the room will be from this industry and be looking at that. Taking a privacy-first approach to data-driven marketing will ultimately unlock competitive advantage. And that advantage will first come from building these direct relationships with your customers based on responsibly gathered first-party data, and then combining that data with the technology advancements and machine learning. Automation and machine learning on their own without good quality first-party data mean nothing. And brands that are able to combine both of those really cleverly using our technology and partner technology are gaining that competitive advantage. After all, competitive advantage is not only the ability to learn about customers faster than the competition, it's the ability to turn that learning into action faster than the competition. And as a final reminder, if you aren't taking the competitive advantage, it's likely that your competitors are taking the advantage. So what is Google doing to help? Well, I know that some of these challenges that we've just talked about in this first section here today aren't trivial, but I can assure you that our teams here at Google are trying to support as best we can. And firstly, we are trying to reinvent the way that we think about advertising across the web. And we're preparing for a future without third-party cookies by leaning into the proposals that are in the privacy sandbox, and we're working with the industry to build, test, and iterate these solutions like the Topics API that you may have heard of. These proposals are designed to make advertising online more transparent and private, but not compromise on quality or on content. Secondly, we're investing in tools that underpin future-proof strategies, and we're supporting durable marketing strategies for the long term. If you're looking to take a start on that journey, tools like Consent Mode, Enhanced Conversions, or Google Analytics 4 are great places to start in building solid foundations for a long-term successful digital marketing business, and will help you maximize that media efficiency. And thirdly, as today hopefully shows, we work in lockstep with our partner ecosystem. It's really important and really vital that we have skilled, trained, knowledgeable, and expertise in our products and our services to really help you as businesses get ahead in the market. We really see that the adoption of privacy technology, when accompanied by a partner, these brands are able to accelerate much faster than those who attempt to go alone. Partnerships are incredibly important, and we continue to invest in that moving forward. So to close, as much as we're here to help at Google, ultimately, each and every business and each and every person in this room needs to start today by defining what their data principles are, how they're going to live by them, and how they're going to communicate them to their customers. It really is a now or never moment. It's not just enough to want the future, but we actually have to choose it. And for online advertising and the future of the web as we know it, it really is that now or never moment. The trust and the future of the ad-supported web is at stake. So the next 2 years, we really believe, are critical. The industry has to embrace the change, has to build stronger relationship with consumers, and deliver better ad campaigns to help navigate this uncertainty. So together, we really feel like we can build the solution for the ad-supported web in the future, giving us better content, richer perspectives, and further protection for consumers online. So I hope that I've left you today feeling with, ultimately, there is still an opportunity for growth if responsible marketing is really embraced by your business. And hopefully you can take some of the learnings from today and build on them for tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Absolutely superb. Thank you, Adam. Would you mind taking a seat for a couple of quick questions?
No problem.
All nice ones, I promise.
Yep.
So we just got a few come through from Slido. One about where I got my Bart Simpson's T-shirt from. I'm not answering that one. I can't remember. Really, really interesting presentation. Some really tangible things businesses can take away off the back of that. Question about if you've got a perfect business example in mind, a client that you think is doing this really well already, and you can kind of show.
On the privacy side. So
correct, yes.
It's difficult to name specific brands. I think if you think about what we're talking about here, it's the structured data that really has fueled kind of digital business, digital marketing. The pure players that really have based their businesses around that have typically understood this perhaps a little bit quicker than brands that have different channels, different opportunities for purchase elsewhere aside from online. So some of the digital natives really have seen a much kind of quicker adoption into the test and learn strategies that I mentioned. So thinking here, the aggregators, the travel booking sites, that type of thing. We really do see that those brands potentially kind of, move ahead perhaps a little bit quicker or perhaps a bit more nimble. The recommendation that we give to advertisers is really to think who's in your peer set, and who do you want to look at in terms of competitors? How are they approaching this? Go through that user journey yourself, understand how they're doing it. Go to those digital natives I mentioned, the aggregators, those brands that you engage with daily. How are they doing it? How are they engaging? And then go to perhaps some of those kind of traditional bricks and mortar companies, the ones that if there are data leaks, they are the ones likely to be on the front page of the newspapers, the ones who have stake in getting this right and are likely to be perhaps first in line for the firing line. So it's interesting to see the kind of the dynamics across all three of those. So that's often a suggestion that we make.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, you certainly see the finance and travel sectors typically stealing the march there. A few questions about the new ad center, and some questions around how well signposted it will be. Some suggestions that the current one is well hidden. Is there?
Yeah, correct. So I think that's definitely a learning. So my ad center is currently due to be released within the next couple of weeks. It builds on the My Ad settings, which was accessible via the Google account. So if you have a Google account on your phone, which I hope you do, you can go through to ad settings and personalize and adjust. My Ad Center takes that a level deeper, giving you much more granularity of what is shared and what isn't. You can also reflect, and you can choose and adjust topics. So it will be much better signposted, and it's part of a kind of a new interaction that Google are kind of bringing to market around safer with Google and putting more control into the user's hands. So expect a slightly bigger launch. This is kind of a kind of theoretical, well, not theoretical because it has been built, but it's kind of in that early stage of being rolled out.
Perfect. We'll finish up with a fun one. There's been a couple of questions again about what you think the next big gadget is going to be. What's going to be the next big invention, the new mobile phone?
The next big gadget. Oh, wow, you've got me there. I mean, I'm a parent of a 20-month-old, so if anyone can invent anything that gets me more sleep, I would take that for sure at the minute, I have to admit. So my tomorrow's world will be dependent on his tonight. So yeah, I would definitely be looking at that if I was predicting.
Very good. Yeah, I second that. Can we give Adam another round of applause? Thanks, Adam.